let's take up some more evidences that this Earth is not billions of years old.
Okay. Anybody on the phone there, Jonathan, or should I go on this article?
Yeah, we've got a caller. We've got Jared on the phone.
Jared, our almost daily caller. What do you have today for us, Jared?
Your best friend? Is that what you're going to say?
Well, yeah, I don't know about best friend. I haven't met you that I know of, but you're welcome. You're welcome to be a friend. We would love to have you.
Oh, that's great, Kent. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin. You started talking about...
All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour. This is segment number, whatever it is, 4, I think. This is June the 14th of 2005. We're defending the position that the Bible is literally true and the evolution theory is the dumbest and most dangerous idea in the history of the world. We have Jared on the phone. Wants to talk about the virgin birth. Go ahead, Jared.
I don't really want to talk about it that much. I just wanted to mention this dispute because you made it sound like it was a really cut and dry issue, and I don't think that it is.
I think it is pretty cut and dry. It wouldn't be anything to talk about if it wasn't a virgin birth.
If you find a version of the Old Testament written in Hebrew that uses a word to describe the supposed prophecy it's referring to Jesus, using a term that does not mean virgin, you don't think that that's problematic?
Here's the history that maybe you don't know. 300 years after the time of Christ, there was a group of folks down in Alexandria, Egypt, who started a cult. They wanted to claim to be Christians, but they were very similar to Jehovah's Witnesses today. They did not believe in the virgin birth. They did not believe in the deity of Christ. They did not believe in the bodily resurrection. They did not believe all kinds of things, but they still wanted to claim they were Christian.
What's the name of this group?
Well, they're commonly today known as the Alexandrians, because that's the city they were in, Alexandria, Egypt.
Sure.
Which had a massive library, which very unfortunately burned. But this Alexandrian group, at the time, if you wanted a copy of the Bible, you had to write it out, with a feather.
Yeah.
Which takes about 10 months to write a copy of the Bible. And there were people, that was their full-time job. They were called the scribes, where we get the word inscribe, subscribe, prescribe, etc. Well, they would write out copies of the Bible, and after, say, a few hundred years, your original manuscript that you're copying from is just slap worn out because you can only open and close a book so many times, and it falls apart. So they were very careful with their copying process to make sure they got it exactly right. And people would check it and certify it and verify it, etc. They would actually go through and count the words and read it backwards to make sure they had no mistakes.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Okay. Meanwhile, down in Alexandria, this cult decided to make their own copy of the Bible, made over 6,000 changes, left out 200 verses they didn't like because they didn't believe in the virgin birth, so they changed the word, so it didn't say virgin. 3 copies of that Bible, called the Alexandrian Bible, are still in existence, and they were actually written in 350 A.D., One was found in the Vatican Library in the basement. It's called Vaticanus, is the name of the manuscript. Another one is called Alexandrus, found in Alexandria. And a third one found in Sinai Peninsula called Sinaiticus. Those 3 manuscripts are copies of the Alexandrian by a guy named Origen in 240 A.D. Origen was the leader of this cult in Egypt who believed all these strange things. He wanted everybody to think he was a Christian. And even some people today call him one of the founding fathers of the Christian church. He is not. He's a fraud. So these 3 copies do not agree with each other on anything. They certainly do not agree with the 5,000 other copies that were in existence at the time the King James translators translated the Bible into English. The King James translators knew about these 3 manuscripts and said these are spurious or fake or frauds. Even though they were older, they were considered no good because it was quite obvious that since they don't agree with each other, and they don't agree with 5,000 other manuscripts, it's obvious these are frauds. So if somebody today comes along like the German higher critics, Wellhausen and these guys, and says, oh, well, see, it says in the original, I say, wait, stop. You don't have the original. Nobody has the original. You have a copy.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? You have a copy. So don't tell me what it says in the original because nobody knows, okay? But when you get 5,000 copies that agree on everything and you get 3 that disagree, I think it was wise choice for the King James translator to choose the 5,000.
So what you're basically saying is there's a group of people that think that Jesus was born of a virgin who have a certain translation. There's a group that don't believe that and have a different translation. And since you believe that Jesus was born of a virgin, the people that believe that too should be trusted more than the others.
Well, it's more complicated than that. I said there are 5...
That's the gist of what you just said.
No,
not really. What he just said was there's like 5,000 manuscripts that say Jesus was born of a virgin, and there's maybe 3 that say he wasn't.
Are we talking about the Greek or Hebrew?
In the
New Testament or Old Testament?
In the Hebrew. Let's take the Isaiah passage, for instance.
Jesus is never mentioned in the Hebrew by name.
No, but it says there would a virgin would conceive and bring forth a son, and that was one of the signs.
Oh, what was the word in the other version that you think is reliable? You're saying it wasn't Alma. What was it?
I don't remember. This is not, I deal with creation subjects, but this is something you probably would want to go to.
Like I said, there is a Messianic Jew, Jonathan Sarfati, who you are undoubtedly familiar with, and he has
I know him,
he has a whole hour on this, and he actually takes you through the history of it and will explain it to you in a very easy-to-follow manner.
Okay,
so,
I'm only mildly interested in this. I was just trying to point out that it's a dispute, and your characterization of it being cut and dry I don't think is,
Well, it is cut and dried if you're using the right Bible.
Well, that's the point. It's like which one is the right Bible is not cut and dry.
Oh, you need
if it were, don't you think? Isn't it kind of funny how a God that can create the universe and all this wonderful stuff can't get a single book handed down generation through generation correctly?
Oh, I think he did. I think I'm holding a copy of it right here on my table. I got it in my hand.
Of course you're going to think that. I mean, you're going to say...
Well, and of course you're going to think he didn't. He promised he would preserve his word, Psalm 12.
Well, here's the thing, Kent. Somebody's wrong.
Correct. And we're glad
it may be you, and it may be somebody else, but it's like...
Well, could it be you? You didn't mention you in there.
Oh, yeah, I could be wrong.
Oh,
but
good.
Until you show me reasons why I'm wrong, I'm not going to think that I'm wrong.
Well, we try that every day. I don't know if you're listening, but,
Oh, yeah. Oh, and by the way, your comment about, asking if the callers who normally call in, I think you referred to me, got burned or not, that was really amusing.
Got burned? No, I asked, because since none of the atheists or evolutionists had called in, I said, I wonder if they got burned and didn't want to call in.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes they do, and they feel like, wow, I lost that argument, let's try again tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't lose any arguments yesterday anymore. They use radiometric dating?
Radiometric dating on numerous occasions. They get wild dates all over the chart when they date things. Why you believe in radiometric dating, I don't know. Because
because it's pretty consistent when contamination and other anomalies aren't occurring.
How do you know the contamination and anomalies aren't occurring?
Well, there's a whole science behind that, Kent, that you can't really, hash out in the air.
Well, I gave quite a few quotes several programs ago from people who are evolutionists and who are scientists who are saying it's all based on circular reasoning.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to investigate those supposed quotes of yours.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm really interested in that. And by the way, about these quoting things, Jonathan, you accused me yesterday. You were careful to...
No, I was careful to say that you did not bring all the whole, creation stuff published in scientific journals. I was kind of...
Yeah, you used a caveat there, but the thing is, when you say that I'm using Talk Origins as an authority, that's not correct. I'm not using it as an authority. I use Talk Origins basically as an index.
Now, where did you get all your endogenous retroviruses information from?
I read about it
from
first, as I said, from Talk Origins, but then I went and I read other articles like from Sverdlov, which is linked from Talk Origins, because Talk Origins is extremely well documented, as all academic things are. He gives explicit references to articles and books that people have written.
Of course.
It's a synopsis. The site itself is not an authority per se.